Hello, everybody. How are we this evening? Welcome to the Monday night guitar hang, which is my favorite part of the week. It's also the sort of first part of the week, I suppose. But it's good to get into some hanging out on guitar. So I have a little sunshine going on right now in my face and stuff, but I'm going to go with it like that. Let's get some gleam off the guitar. Oh, it's not working now. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's because my hand's in the way. Try to get that sunlight. There you go. Cool. Okay. Anyway, so tonight we're gonna work on a specific song from the 1980s. This is "Creeping Death" by Metallica, and this was from a suggestion from Ed Gear on the last video that I did. He or she actually suggested two songs. Creeping Death was one of them, and the other one was Crying in the Rain by Whitesnake, which is John Sykes on guitar for that. So I really want to do both of those, but and I will do Crying in the Rain because Whitesnake is a massive part of my own personal upbringing in terms of the genre of, heavy metal, hair metal, whatever you want to call it, in the 80s. And John Sykes is actually incredible, an incredible player. But tonight we're going to do Metallica. So thanks, Ed, for your suggestions, and keep them coming, folks. Anything that you want to sort of see me play or teach or whatever, I'm really happy to do any of that stuff as long as it is metal. And if you want jazz, that's the other channel. But we will, as I say, quite happy to do most stuff if I can play it, or even if I can't, I will try and learn it, which was kind of the case with Creeping Death. I'm very aware of the song, very aware of the genre, and in fact, I'm one of the few lucky people who I actually saw Metallica. In fact, one of my buddies sent me a post recently, which was it was a ticket stub or something, or a poster for June 17th, 1987, maybe 86, I think 87. And it was Ozzy Osbourne and Metallica at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. So it was the Ozzy Osbourne Ultimate Sin tour with Jakey Lee. He was headlining, and that was Ozzy Osbourne in his most glam with hairspray and all that kind of stuff. And Metallica were opening, and it was Master of Puppets tour for them. So Cliff Burton on bass, amazing. He unfortunately was killed tragically in an accident, probably 6 months after that, maybe less than a year, certainly. But yeah, so that was it was a great gig. I remember being super excited to see Metallica, and I've only seen Metallica twice. Both occasions were pretty special because, as I've just said, the first one was on the Master of Puppets tour, and I think there's many Metallica fans out there who would have loved to have seen that tour. It was awesome. And the second time was they played the Monsters of Rock Festival with Dokken and Van Halen and Scorpions. Kingdom Come was on the bill, I think, maybe someone else. And that was at Candlestick Park, I think, in San Francisco. And I think that was Jason Newsted's first ever gig with Metallica. Oh, I might be wrong about that. He might have done like it was certainly his first ever tour or a sequence of gigs, apart from maybe some small things that they did just to test him out. But I think this was his first sort of really big gig. So what's your favorite era of Metallica? I mean, for me personally, it kind of starts with Kill 'Em All and then kind of ends with And Justice. I have the Black Album. I think it's really good, but I could definitely see a change in their style and what they were doing and all that kind of stuff at that point. all of that music had become really popular at that point. So it was almost like they were getting into, you know, pop rock to a certain extent. That's maybe a bit harsh to call it pop rock. It was still Metallica, but I think you can definitely see the signs of them going slightly more commercial, or whatever you want to call it. And I don't mean commercial in the Britney Spears sense, obviously. I'm talking about the commercial in the sense of that they popularized that genre, and it's really started to, I suppose, take that whole thing, and it became massive. It became massive. They made a lot of money in that era. But for me, really, those first four albums, I think, are the best. Um, so Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. Great stuff. Any one of those is just absolutely awesome. And they're all totally different to each other, in their own weird little way. So obviously, Metallica's had change of personnel. Bass player more than anyone else. Obviously, Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield, they've always been in the band. But we've got, I want to say, the new guy, Robert Turillo, but he's been in the band for like 20 years, probably. So yeah, what's your favorite era? What's your favorite album? Who's your favorite bass player in Metallica? Okay, let's do Creeping Death, right? So I'll play a little bit of the intro, and then we're going to break it down and actually do some of the actual technical stuff with it. So here we go. Make sure I got the right sound. Okay. Okay, there you go. That's the intro to Creeping Death, more or less. I kind of extended some bits and didn't play the other bits as long as I should have, and so on. But that's basically it. That is the riffs. So what we're going to do is we're going to break that down into little cells that you can practice, and we're going to talk about the techniques that I'm using there, and the techniques I should be using, and the techniques that I'm not using, but what I'm using instead. And I'll talk about why I do that. So the first thing is really this sort of intro right here. So let's just talk about that first of all. So the first thing that happens is you're going to hit 5 open notes, right, on the E string. You're going to hit the E string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to play a power chord. Now, one of the reasons that this song got suggested was because I was doing a series on power chords, basically, and so this is one of the songs that came up as being good for power chords, and it is. There's lots of them in there. So if you don't know your power chords, this will demonstrate to you that if you want to play rock music, power chords are used everywhere. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, about this little sort of 6-note figure that we're doing here, and how you should play it, and how I'm playing it. Okay, so if you're James Hetfield, and we all want to be James Hetfield in terms of his rhythm playing, you're actually going to play all of that with downstrokes. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, E power chord. So my E power chord is 7th fret, 1st finger, and then I'm playing the 9th fret with my 3rd finger on these 2 strings. So 7, 9, 9. Okay, E5 power chord. Now, if you're James Hetfield, you downstroke all that. But for me personally, I developed a reasonably good alternate picking style and actually prefer to do it alternate picked, even though the purists would say that's not really the proper way to do it. However, I do it for two reasons. One is I find it easier, and the second reason is that it actually sounds better to me. So I can sound more like what the record sounds like if I do it my way, rather than trying to do it James Hetfield's way. And this is an important point, I think, in playing guitar and playing music. So many people study stuff to try and emulate their favorite players, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is how we end up, evolving our style. You evolve your style from everything that you listen to. All your favorite players come into play in terms of influencing your style. So it's important to have these influences and to try and emulate them to a certain extent. But there also comes a point in your playing where you get reasonably technically good, and being able to play a song it's more important to make it sound good the way you play it, rather than trying to play it, like the record, or like James Hetfield would do it or whatever, and sounding bad at doing it. So I can definitely hear the difference when I do it alternate picked as opposed to all downstrokes, and I prefer doing it alternate picked because I think it sounds better if I do it. So if I had to go up on stage, do this live, I would be doing it alternate picked. So that's just a bit more defined when I do it that way. I'm just a bit clumsy. It's just down to my own inability to play the downstrokes as fast and as accurately as Hetfield does. He's great. He's great at that. There's no denying it. Anyway, so there's our first chord. Now we do the same thing. I'm going to play the E chord again, and then we're going to move down 2 frets. Whoops. That's better. So let's see, how many times do we do that? Let's start again. Okay, so we do it twice. Now, the next section, if you're James Hetfield, you're basically going to do the same thing again. But what happens is Kirk Hammett plays a harmony on top of that. So he plays this note, and then he goes. So it's. So that's basically what Kirk Hammett plays at that point. So he's putting this harmony on top. So you can choose to either play the James Hetfield part, which is the bit we covered a couple of minutes ago, or you can play the Kirk Hammett part, which is that's the 10th fret on the 5th string, down to the 9th fret. 10, 9. So the way that I actually played it in the intro was I played kind of both parts together. So I played this part of this chord, and I added Kirk Hammett's part there, so it ends up sounding like this. And then when we go down to the next chord, I'm playing the D chord that James Hetfield is doing, or at least the top part of it, and I'm playing it like that. So trying to get that chord in. So let's have a listen to that. Okay, so that's how we're doing that bit. You have a choice. Play the James Hetfield part, which is the E chord and D chord. Play the Kirk Hammett part, which is the easier thing to do, which is the 10th fret and the 9th fret. Or try and get both of them together, which is 10th fret, 9th fret, 9th fret, and then down to the 7th fret. So this would be playing 10th fret, then 9th fret, pinky, 3rd finger. At the same time, you're holding down the 7th fret with your 1st finger. Okay, right, where are we? So okay, now once we've done that bit, we have this sort of walk down on power chords. Again, lots of power chords. 5th fret, 3rd fret, G5 power chord, and then I'm leaving my, well, actually I'm not leaving my pinky anywhere. I'm pulling my pinky into play here. So what's happening is I'm playing classic power chord shape, 5th fret, 7th fret, move that down, 3rd fret, and then 5th fret, and then I'm replacing my 3rd finger with my pinky, and my 1st finger is moving down the 2nd fret, playing that chord. Okay, so, and then you're into the main riff. Oops, sorry. There we go. So the main riff, and I've got the music on the screen. So if it looks like I'm distracted here looking at something else, which I most of the time am, it's because I'm looking at the music. So let's do that. Let's actually analyze this inside and out. Here's my PDF. Creeping Death. Okay. So I get all my tabs off ultimateguitar.com. They're really, really good, and they have all these like Ultimate Guitar official tabs and things, which are really, really excellent. Very, very good quality. So that's what I use for the most part. Okay, so this main riff basically goes 2 open notes on the E, and we're playing off an E power chord. Now, at some point I've talked about the open power chords, like in Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin, where you're basically playing open, your root is open, and you're playing the 5th and the octave. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. We're playing E5 power chord, and we're going 2 open notes, and then a downstroke onto the actual chord harmony, which is the 5 and the octave, and that's on fret 2. So 2nd fret on string 5, 2nd fret on string 4. So we play 2 open notes, and then 2 2nd fret notes, and then you do that again. So it's okay. Then you play 1 open note and the chord. So altogether, that's the first bar of that section. Okay. Now you're going to play another 2 open notes and then the chord. So okay, then the open note again. Then you're going to play 2nd fret, and then little pull off section. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Okay, so that's how that section is played. Now I'm going to slow that down a little bit and just get a little bit more detail on there. So open, open, 2, open, open, 2, open, 2, open, open, 2, open, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0. 2, 3, 2, 0. And on that section, what I'm picking is the first note, the second fret. Hammering on the third fret, pull off again. And I'll talk in a second about some of the challenges of that bit as well, and where the challenges in all of this lie. So that's basically it. There's another section down here which I played, which this goes on for a bit, that bit there. But then one of the coolest parts, one of the coolest riffs in the song is this bit. Okay, so that's open, open, third fret and fifth fret, so G power chord. Then open, open, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the second fret. Okay, and that just about covers it. After that, it's back to that section there. Okay, let's see if anyone's watching, and indeed if we have any comments. Oh, I got a like. Cool, 1 like, awesome. So, okay, so let's talk about some of the specific challenges that I faced when I was learning this. So I've taught this one a couple of times over the years, but I don't play it regularly, so it comes and goes in terms of that stuff. And it is technically pretty challenging in terms of like the rhythms and things. So the first challenge you have really is just this this first section with the 5 notes. Now, again, if you're a complete beginner and you knew that all this kind of stuff, I would recommend just trying to practice going down, 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 all down strokes, right? Because that's how James Hetfield does it. So there's probably a lot of merit in just, from the start, if you don't have good alternate picking or whatever, just try and do it that way, because then you'll get it. But for me, I'm alternate picking it. So your next challenge is really moving these power chords quickly. Some of you guys will be able to do that no problem because you've been playing power chords for years, and other people are going to just struggle a little bit when you move that power chord down with the spacing. There's no real easy fix with this. You just have to practice doing the changes and keeping your spacing on your fingers going so that you don't end up with that or something like that. So work on it and you'll get there. Okay. So the challenges, part of the areas where I had some challenges were coming into this bit here. Okay, that happens all fairly quickly. Now it's just a power chord sequence, but I had to think about how was I going to actually voice each chord in that section. Sounds ridiculous, right? It's power chords. How do you think you're meant to voice them? But what I'm talking about is this transition between the G chord and the sort of F sharp chord. So how do you do that? Do you go power chord and then maybe pull your pinky over, and then you can just slide your first finger down? That was one option. I decided not to do that because that felt more awkward than doing what I'm doing, which is basically playing the power chord shape there, playing it again here, and then doing the switch. So that, I had to practice that. I had to slow that down. And just isolate it. Let's see. I'm just updating, see if there's any chat. Okay. Right, so that was one of the first challenges that I found working through that. The next challenge was two challenges really. One was getting into this. I suppose the first challenge really was just learning that. Okay, just learning how to play that and getting it right and everything, which, by the way, that wasn't, I added an extra thing right there. But that was part of the first challenge. And the second part of that challenge was coming out of here straight into that. Okay. I had to practice that. To get it right, to get it at speed, all that kind of stuff. I had to just basically do that and then do it again and so on until I could do it reasonably smoothly and it sounded right. So then the third part of the challenge, there's more challenges. The song keeps giving challenges. So the third part of that challenge was really getting all of that in tempo and in time and the rhythm proper. So because it's a rhythm shift, da, 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 da. You know, you're kind of going from eighth notes to 16ths. But once you get it, you're good. You're good. So anyway, I hope that's educational for people and useful. Please leave any comments on stuff you want to hear. That was really just the intro. There's more to that song. If you want me to cover that, just let me know and I will do that. I'm going to be looking at Crying in the Rain, I think, next, which is also a suggestion from Ed Gear. And yeah, we will see how it goes with that. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Those of you that did, please leave a comment on anything that you think was done right or wrong. Dun, dun, dun. Or if you think of a better way to play it or how to make any of those transitions easier, that would be great. Yeah, any help with that kind of stuff is always, welcome. I think it should be a guitar community and that we should all help each other to play better. So on that note, I'm going to leave it for tonight, and I will see you guys next week for episode 4 of the Monday Night Guitar Hang. I'll see you then. Bye for now.